Your phone vibrates once. Then again. The screen lights up in the darkness of your apartment. A single message waits for you. The cartel lieutenant you've spent 2 years tracking wants to meet. Alone. No bodyguards. No intermediaries. No witnesses. The refrigerator hums softly behind you. Traffic murmurs somewhere below the building. A half-finished cup of coffee sits cold on the table. You stare at the message longer than necessary because you understand what it could mean. Either you finally earned his trust, or he knows exactly who you are. In this world, those two possibilities often look identical until it's too late. You glance toward the window and catch your reflection in the glass. For a moment, you struggle to recognize the face staring back. The beard is different. The haircut is different. Even the expression feels unfamiliar. 5 years ago, when this operation began, you still answered instinctively to your real name. Now, the fake one comes first. The induction had been surprisingly ordinary. A government building. Fluorescent lights. A briefing room kept at 19 degrees Celsius. No dramatic speeches, no promises of glory. The operation was expected to last 6 months. Maybe a year if complications arose. You volunteered because you believed you understood the risks. Looking back, you realized nobody understood them. Not your supervisors. Not your instructors. Not even you. The transformation started with paperwork. New birth certificates. New banking records. New employment history. Thousands of documents designed to create a person who had never existed. Every detail was reviewed and approved. Every inconsistency was removed. By the time training ended, your false identity had accumulated more supporting evidence than your real life ever had. The system wasn't creating a disguise. It was manufacturing a replacement. Crossing the border felt strangely disappointing. There was no dramatic moment. No sense of crossing into danger. An immigration officer barely looked at your passport before stamping it. A gate opened. A door closed. Just like that, your old life began fading behind you. The first year was dominated by fear. Every conversation felt dangerous. Every question sounded like a trap. You learned to calculate every answer before speaking. People around you tested stories constantly, often without realizing it. They remembered details. Compared timelines. Not because they suspected you specifically, but because suspicion was part of survival. One wrong date could destroy everything. One forgotten detail could expose years of preparation. Every night, you replayed conversations in your head, searching for mistakes you might have made. Gradually, the fear became routine. The routine became competence. Competence became trust. The second year brought responsibility. Not promotion in the traditional sense. More like access. Small jobs became larger ones. Deliveries became collections. Collections became meetings. Meetings became opportunities to observe people who mattered. More trust meant more exposure. More exposure meant greater danger. Money flowed through the organization in amounts that would have shocked you before the operation. Tens of thousands of dollars moved between hands with astonishing casualness. You learned routes, names, financial channels, safe houses. Every detail became part of the mental archive you carried everywhere. At night, information traveled through encrypted communications and carefully planned dead drops. The reports grew thicker. Headquarters became more interested. Nobody praised your progress. They simply requested more. By the third year, you began seeing the organization behind the violence. Outsiders imagine criminal enterprises as chaotic collections of dangerous people. The reality is often more administrative. There were spreadsheets, inventories, budget discussions, expense reports, internal disputes over accounting errors worth less than a restaurant bill. The deeper you went, the more bureaucracy you found. That was when you learned the most important survival skill, creative compliance. You never refused directly. You never volunteered too much. You learned exactly how much information people expected and provided only that amount. Some rules were critical. Others existed purely as tests. Survival depended on recognizing the difference. The organization rewarded predictability. Predictable people attracted less attention. Less attention meant a longer life. The fourth year changed something deeper. Isolation stopped feeling temporary. At first, you had maintained contact with family. Phone calls became less frequent, then shorter, then awkward. Friends continued inviting you to events you could never attend. Eventually, they stopped asking. There were no arguments, no dramatic endings, just a gradual disappearance. You spent more time with investigation targets than with anyone from your real life. You knew their routines, their habits, their fears. Sometimes you laughed at their jokes before remembering who they were. Sometimes you caught yourself sympathizing with people you were supposed to be documenting. Those moments frightened you more than any threat because they suggested the boundaries were eroding. The operation no longer felt like something you were doing. It felt like somewhere you lived. Then came the crisis. The informant disappeared on a Tuesday. Rumors circulated by Wednesday. Confirmation arrived Thursday morning. He had been arrested carrying evidence connected to the operation. Evidence connected to you. The news hit with surprising physical force. Your stomach tightened. Your pulse accelerated. The room suddenly felt smaller. Years of contingency planning raced through your mind. You understood exactly what interrogation could accomplish. You knew how much damage one compromised source could create. Headquarters responded quickly. Maintain cover. Observe. Do not intervene. 3 simple instructions. 3 words that revealed everything about the system. The following days became unbearable. You attended meetings, smiled when expected, conducted business as usual. Meanwhile, an informant sat in custody, carrying secrets that could destroy years of work. Every hour reduced the likelihood of survival. Every hour narrowed the available choices. Then the opportunity appeared. The informant's location became known. There would be a brief window, 20 minutes at most. Long enough to attempt a rescue. Long enough to destroy the operation. You sat alone in your vehicle with the engine running. The dashboard illuminated your hands. For years, every decision had followed procedure. Every action had been evaluated according to operational value. But now the equation felt different. Save him and expose yourself. Abandon him and preserve everything. In that moment, you realized the system had already chosen. Headquarters had chosen when it issued instructions. The organization had chosen when it measured a human life against operational objectives. The decision existed long before it reached you. Whatever you did next would reveal who you had become. And regardless of the outcome, something inside you fractured. Months later, the cartel lieutenant's message arrives. The same message glowing on your screen now. The invitation. The meeting. The culmination of years spent living as someone else. You stare at the screen and discover an unsettling truth. Your real name feels distant. The false one feels natural. You respond to it automatically, comfortably, instinctively. The realization lands harder than any threat. You spent years pretending to become someone else. Somewhere along the way, pretending stopped. Eventually, the operation ends. Not with explosions or dramatic confrontations. Operations rarely end that way. Instead, there are forms, reviews, transfers, debriefings, signatures. Administrators process paperwork. Supervisors close files. The system extracts you with the same efficiency it used to insert you. Outside, the world continues uninterrupted. People commute to work. Children walk home from school. Restaurants open and close. Nobody notices your return because officially you never left. The years disappear into classified archives and secure databases. Months later, someone else takes your place. Another volunteer. Another identity. Another carefully constructed life. Training begins. Documents are created. Instructions are issued. Reports start flowing once again. The machine continues exactly as before. Your file is eventually archived. A reference number. A completed operation. A case study for future recruits. Years of sacrifice reduced to organized paperwork stored in a secure facility. And somewhere, another phone vibrates in another apartment. Another recruit receives instructions. Another real name begins fading into the background. The system moves forward exactly as it always has. Quietly. Efficiently. Indifferently. As though you were never there at all.